Hope you can hear me, and I hope you can see me. Just starting off our session today. Hope you're all well. And those of you joining us for the first time, great to see you here. We appreciate here at Admirals we have a truly global audience. It's great to have you joining here wherever you're joining us from. We hope that here at Admirals you've had a good year and that you're ready for what will undoubtedly be an eventful 2023 in financial markets as well. Also recognise that we have a broad range of experience here joining us in our room for our sessions, from complete beginners, people who've been trading for a good while. You're all very welcome here. There'll always be something of value here for all of you to take away, regardless of what kind of session we're focusing on. And with that in mind, why don't we start today's session and dig into it? So just bear with us a moment, and what we'll do is we will bring up the slide, shall we? There we go. Excellent. Super. So as I said, hope you can all hear me, hope you can see me, hope you can see the slides. Today it is, of course, Wednesday, Paul's Ultimate Price Action Guide. Today's session 13. It's all about using checklists in your trading. Something we have kind of hinted at and touched on a little bit in one or two of the previous sessions, but today I wanted to focus on that as part of the overall price action guide. As we've said, throughout this series, is that it's going to be a mixture of what many people might call the hard skills of trading, which is, about finding setups, analyzing markets, putting on trades, and then also some of the soft skills, things like building trading plans, demonstrating and working with checklists that completely new traders may not necessarily understand the value of, but once you've traded for a while, and the experienced traders joining you today will recognize it's those soft skills that allow you to effectively develop performance, maintain performance, and return to performance levels if you've had a bit of a challenging time. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. I could talk about this all week, but of course we don't have all week to talk about, so we will just focus on for our next session for the next 40 minutes or so. So don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, here we are, Admirals, a global Forex and CFD broker with a global presence and local support. Licensed and regulated across a wide range of regulatory environments, providing competitive spreads on the most popular trading products and allowing you to engage with markets using both MT4 and MT5. If you have any questions about Admirals, please get in touch with your account representative. They will be very happy to help guide you. So what's on our agenda today? We're going to talk about what is price action trading, because we're all part of it, building it up, and we will look at that in the at the end of the session. We'll talk about how price action trading can help a new trader, but we're also going to talk, as I said today, about what are checklists, where have they come from, how do we use them in our trading, and basically a look at live markets at the end. We'll have a little look at some of the price action. It's a rather eventful and interesting week that we're in the middle of here, and so there's plenty for us to have a little look at and learn from in terms of price action trading. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's Paul. I've traded for many years, traded for funds, traded for clients. I primarily like to focus on trading FX indices and commodities. They tend to be my favorites. And I tend to be a trend trader for my longer term trading and a reversal trader for my shorter term trading. And I will, of course, share all my knowledge and experience and some of my setups there as we go through through this particular series. So, here we are, the Price Action Guide series, and we're going to continue that today. And what we're looking to do is to help traders understand and utilize price action in their trading. Because very often what we find is that new traders can sometimes be intimidated by the amount of knowledge required to be able to analyze markets. However, with just a little bit of education and a little bit of understanding of how candlesticks are formed and what they are telling us, then it becomes easier to analyze and understand markets. And so each Wednesday, we're going to build upon the previous session so that you're educated and informed how to use price action in your trading. So as I said, lots of new traders, they can sometimes become a little bit overwhelmed, a little bit intimidated by, there's just so much data out there. Even on the platforms, there's so much information, so much indicators that it basically, becomes a little bit overwhelming. Some traders will even sort of have to deal with a little bit of analysis paralysis. And what we're here to show you is that actually, in many ways, less is more. You can strip away an awful lot of the information and actually just trade off price action itself. You'll find that I have one or two simple indicators on my charts, but they're only there to help me in terms of making a decision. So more of that as we go deeper into our series. But it is about less is more, and the ability to sort of utilize that to sort of make good trading choices. So for those of you who are completely new to trading, completely new to price action, what is price action trading? Well, it is a little bit, as we just alluded to there, it's a basic means, it's a simple means of market analysis using the price movement over time. It is popular with both retail and institutional traders. You'll find, all areas of trading will utilize it. And really, we're just analyzing the changes in price over time. That is the action, all right? That's the action that we're looking at. And what you'll find in our series is that we're typically focusing on price action over the last 3 to 6 months, but also respecting longer term price movements. And as I say, the reason I do that is I do recognize that people who are joining us for our sessions, a majority of them are trading around, job, employment, family commitments, other lifestyle commitments. So invariably, they might just be trading kind of, daily charts, all right, on a longer time frame. So, by being able to focus on the last 3 to 6 months and maybe even a bit longer in terms of the price action, that allows people just to sort of see the kind of relevance of that. But equally, what I share with you and what we will talk through and what we'll work through is applicable to all time frames and all instruments. You'll find that I will focus a lot on FX and indices, and focus a little bit on the kind of the 4-hour daily, weekly charts. However, as I say, everything I share with you is time frame and instrument agnostic. Okay, we'll work on all time frames and on all instruments. And once you've learned actually how to sort of just be comfortable reading price action and trading with it, you will, regardless of whether you are a 5-minute euro dollar trader or whether you're a monthly gold trader, okay, the concepts will help you in your own trading. So what have we covered over the last quarter? Right, we've covered a fair bit, and as I said at the start, what I'm trying to do is kind of like, every other week or so is focus a little bit on the hard skills, right? So the actual trading. So there, you can see there's the engulfing candle, the star formation, key reversal setups, pin bars, inside bars, etc., managing, analyzing markets, etc., trading breakouts or full pullbacks. All of those sessions there are on the, let's say, the hard skills of trading. And you will find all of these on the Admirals YouTube channel. So be sure to sort of check into them. All right. Okay. You'll be able to watch these back and glean all the value from them. But equally, there are some soft skills there that we've talked about. Things like preparing for opportunity in markets, all right, managing risk, building trading plans, managing our trades. And today's session about utilizing checklists in your trading. These are the soft skills. And as I said, when you're a complete beginner, you don't necessarily recognize the value in them because you just want to see, right, here's the market, where do I buy, where do I sell? That's where you're coming from. But as you develop as a trader, all right, what you'll realize is it's those soft skills that are what allow you to evolve as a trader. They what allow you to sort of develop your trading skills and become the best trader that you can be. And that is what I would like you to gain from this series, okay, is that you become, utilizing both the hard skills and the soft skills, you're in a position to become the best trader you possibly can be, because that's what I like to see. That's what we want. That's what we want for you, okay, to be able to sort of, get as many opportunities, right, to trade as well as you possibly can. So, with that in mind, it'd be great to hear, if you've been joining this series, what, if any, thoughts you've had, what have you found useful? What would you like us to cover more on? Is there stuff that you haven't, sort of struggled to understand? By all means, put it in the chat box, or, you can sort of, I'll give you the email at the end. You can sort of send feedback through, and we will quite happily and gladly take this on. Or if you're watching this later on the Admirals YouTube channel, you should be able to put in something in the comments box. Please do, put it in there. We will gladly take all that board. As I said, we want to make these sessions as valuable as possible for you. So with that in mind, let's focus on what we're going to talk about today, which is all about checklists for your trading. All right. So lots of new traders and lots of old traders as well like to think of ourselves as purely discretionary traders. but just like to think that, we can just sort of, open a chart and just flow into the market and flow out. Were it that simple. However, as it says there on the slide, the more you're going to work at it, the more you realize that you will require some sort of structure, right? You will require probably levels of structure as well. And very often I have to say is that, from my experience of working on trading floors, working with, thousands of traders over the years, is that very often it takes some failure to realize that challenge for traders. In fast-moving markets, whether they be trading, volatile markets on an intraday basis, or whether you're trading, markets after news events, fast-moving markets, it's very easy to miss important steps in your trading plan. That can have a detrimental effect upon your overall performance. And this is where some very simple checklists may help you. So let's talk about that. And I'm going to talk about it from my wide range of experience from working in lots of performance environments throughout my life. I'm a big proponent of checklists. And those of you who have seen me before or worked with me and stuff will know that I'm constantly banging on about using checklists in your trading because they work. All right. It's a simple tool that works. So a little bit of background, all right, for those of you who are interested, where did checklists come from? Well, actually, they come from military aviation back in the 1920s, 1930s, about 100 years ago. And what happened was, as aviation grew and expanded, what we saw was that aircraft went from, those kind of like little single-engine biplanes, all right, you might have seen or remembered, towards big multi-engine aircraft, okay, like that. That's an American B-17, all right, 4-engine aircraft. And what they found was that actually, as they went from single-engine aircraft to multi-engine aircraft, that the number of accidents increased. And what they found is that the kind of the complexity of operation and the pace of things happening, the ability to make human errors increased as well. And of course, in aviation, all right, the big difference from aviation to let's say trading is that the consequences for failure, the consequences for making those errors are far greater. Okay, in trading, you lose a little bit of time, you probably lost a little bit of money on a losing trade. In aviation, you make a big error, well, the likelihood is that you're going to crash, and you might be responsible for the death of you or the death of lots of others and stuff. And so there's a real consequence for failure. So of course they're very, very driven to work towards things that will help them avoid that failure, avoid making those errors. And that's why you see airline pilots using checklists to this day, because that's what they did. They created simple checklists to help ensure that human errors were avoided wherever possible. And this is what I say to traders, okay? This is what I say to traders is that, I'm sure most of you traders will have taken a flight at some point, okay? And you'll be sat there and you'll see the air crew coming in, the 2 pilots on a commercial pilot flying there. It doesn't matter if it's their first day on the job as an airline pilot, or it's their last after a 20, 30, 40 year, career. They will still be working through their robust checklists. They'll still be utilizing checklists, all right? And the reason they do it is because it works and it keeps people safe. So if it works and it keeps people safe, then why wouldn't we want to use them to help us as traders? I'm all for, okay, having worked across lots of very different performance environments, I'm all for taking the best bits, right, to ensure that you're delivering best practice in your own style of trading, and that is what you will see. Okay, I've worked with thousands of traders, all right, over the last decade or so. The very, very best ones, will gladly and happily look to take best practice from other industries, from other activities, and mold that into helping them become the best trader they possibly can be. And checklists is one of those elements. So, part of the teaching that I do is actually I sort of teach veterans from military service. And one thing veterans know is that skill is a drill, right? Skill is a drill. They know, okay, and I talk about whether they be military veterans or whether it could be airline pilots or air traffic controllers or people working in, doctors and nurses working in hospitals in trauma, accident, emergency. All of them know that skill is a drill, right? Skill is a drill. And that confidence in any activity, whether it be driving a car, whether it be doing surgery, whether it be flying a plane, whether it be trading financial markets, confidence comes from being competent, right? Competence comes from developing the skills. developing skills tend to come from drill, following through a drill. And really drilling is just following a process until that response becomes automatic. And this is something that lots of, I would say, private retail traders miss out on because they don't work in certain environments in their day job that basically sort of focus on this. Whereas, as I say, if you've been in the military, or if you're working as an air traffic controller or an airline pilot, or, as I said, doctors and nurses, they know that skill is a drill, right? Skill is a drill. And that's something that you can take on board and learn and utilize. What they also know from being skill as a drill is that there are three things that basically set apart really good fund managers and traders, and also three things that veterans do quite well also, namely process, discipline, self-awareness. Process is, as I say, it's skill as a drill. It's about following the process until the response becomes automatic. Now, in there, I've got a little photo there. Some of you remember many years ago that Captain Sullenberger landed his Airbus in the Hudson River in New York, okay, and everybody escaped, right? Fantastic feat of airmanship. But actually, if you listen to him, if you watch the movie, all right, if you read about it, what he was doing there was he was following his checklists. Him and his crew were following their checklists when they lost their engines, all right? That is what helped free them up to basically make the right decisions to perform a fantastic flying element. So, they know that process is important, okay? They know that checklists are important. What also happens, and most of you will know this about trading, is discipline is important in trading. But it tends to be easier to be disciplined if you have a simple process, a simple checklist to follow. And then the final element of it is that, having the self-awareness to actually, review how you've done in your trading for that session, for that day, week, month, year. That's what we'll talk about in next week's session. That is what raises self-awareness, all right? And raising self-awareness is about recognizing, am I following my checklists? Am I being disciplined and consistent in my trading? And what they found is process, discipline, self-awareness. These are the three recurring traits that they see in very, very long-term successful traders, fund managers, and investors, right? And the good thing that you can take from that is that none of those are really God-given traits. They are traits that all of us can develop, and it helps if you have something like a checklist to help just make sure that you're doing the right things time after time. And as I say, those of you who know me will know that I am banging on about this constantly, all right? Constantly for new traders, right? Because it works, all right? It will help you. And I can talk about it from my own life and stuff. I was in military aviation myself. There's a very, very youthful Paul there. Okay, many, many years ago during the in the early 90s, during the Bosnia War, because flying in military aviation, all right. As I said, that's where it comes from. I have seen it firsthand, and it works. It works in very stressful, high performance environments. I've seen it in sports. I've seen it in trading. Okay, I've seen it in other work environments as well. And if you want to read more about it, I can recommend a book called The Checklist Manifesto he's actually by a Harvard trained surgeon, right? And he worked out that checklists can actually help surgeons, doctors, nurses, okay, improve their performance and avoid making errors and mistakes. And as I said, I'm all for taking best practice from other areas, okay, and being able to mold that into helping us become the best traders we possibly can be. So, if you are looking for Christmas presents, okay, and looking for a good read, I can definitely recommend the Checklist Manifesto for you there, ladies and gentlemen. So, that's all well and good, but what we want to be able to do is to see, well, all right, how do we do it for our trading? What is it that we do it? So, how and why do we create them as traders? So, we can have lots of checklists. To start with, all right, we can use checklists just to create simple daily routines to help us ensure we miss nothing. And if you may remember, I think in session 7, okay, might have been session 7, one of the earliest sessions, we talked about developing good routines, okay, good routines to get you in the right place to be able to sort of be open to the opportunities that will come your way as a trader. As it says, this helps us ensure we're in the right trading state to operate effectively every day. And then with that data, okay, we can then delve deeper and create specific trading checklists for our favorite setups. So it's possible, as I say, to have a checklist for your overall day, and that might be broken down into towards sessions and things you've got to do pre to trading, during trading, after trading. You can also delve down into specific setups for each of your trading setups. Have a little simple checklist. just to make sure that you're doing the right things time and time and time again. And one of the bigger things I see it develops is by following those checklists, okay, until process, following that process until response becomes automatic, is that what you're looking to do is you're developing self-trust. You're developing the trust in yourself that you can rely on yourself to do the right thing at the right time, regardless of what might be going on within the markets. Because if you've traded live markets, you'll see that there are times when markets get a little volatile. They can go a little bit wild, all right, and they can effectively sort of, tease you, all right, and tease you into wanting to make impulsive knee-jerk reactions or trades. And actually having a simple checklist is what keeps us on the straight and narrow and stops us basically, going off down cul-de-sacs where we don't need to go. And by doing all of these elements, creating all these checklists, that become the basis of what I would call a tactical trading plan, okay? The plan that you look to follow every day, that just, as I say, keeps you on the straight and narrow, stops you from making impulsive, knee-jerk, foolish decisions, right? And by cutting those out, that gives you the best opportunity to be the best trader you possibly can be. So, we talked a little bit about this in the session on routines, about preparing for our trading day and building simple routines. And you can start by doing that for things like having for the start of your day, pre-market, okay, what you do before you actually sort of even look to trade, during the market opening, in between your sessions. You can even have little checklists that you follow in between your sessions, and then also on a kind of post-market basis as well. What are the things you need to do to effectively make sure that you're doing the right thing after every single trade? That's okay, Raquel. It's great to see you here, okay? Great to see everybody here joining us. So, when we talked about routines for starting our trading day, you might remember what we talked about is that, I suggest that, you be there at preparing for your trading day, be there for about 30 to 60 minutes before your session opens. So if you're somebody who likes to trade the European session or the US session, then invariably that's what we can do. So I think I'm getting a little bit glare there on the old camera. There you go. Just try and update that. That is my halo shining behind us, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies for that. Okay, I try to keep it hidden away as much as I can, but sometimes my halo will shine out. Anyway, remember what I was saying. Okay, this is your trading business. Take it seriously. Show the market some respect. Show your trading some respect. Show your capital some respect. And part of this is about the routine to help you start your day properly, but also, as I say, just making sure you're following checklists to make sure that you're doing the right thing day after day after day. So what we see in terms of creating checklists is that having a checklist, okay, and a tactical trading plan provides you with some structure, consistency, discipline. And the event of that is that you tend to have reduced errors and reduced emotional turmoil, right? So emotional turmoil, that's probably a bit of a harsh way to describe it, but let's just say that as I was saying a bit earlier, when markets are a little bit volatile, okay, when there's all sorts of things going on left, right, and center, well, then invariably that is what can, sort of tease traders into making impulsive knee-jerk reactions, which generally tend not to work out very, very well. So by actually, having a checklist and a tactical trading plan, as I said, it gives you a bit of structure, okay, a bit of structure to follow your day, follow your sessions, and that gives you consistency and structure that helps you be disciplined. One of the things I say about traders is that, especially private traders, working from home, is that they are the best salespeople in the world, because what it is that because they're there at home on their own, they can sell themselves on the fact that whatever course of action they took, it was the right course of action. And actually, very often as a new trader, that's not the case. Okay, there's nobody holding you accountable. Whereas if you have that structure in place, okay, if you have a checklist on what I need to do every session, okay, to make sure I'm doing the right things, well, you either followed your session checklist or you didn't, okay, and then as you delve deeper, you will start to grade yourself on how well you followed your checklist. If you didn't follow your checklist, why? What was going on? What was happening in the market? What was going on with you? Were there external factors that were having an applied effect upon the way you were particularly operating? And as I said, all of these things are looking towards helping you reduce errors and the emotional turmoil that comes with making errors. And the overall effect for that is that undoubtedly is that checklists improve results, ladies and gentlemen. Believe me, they do. All right. There's not many things I can guarantee you about trading, but one thing I can guarantee you is that by creating checklists and following them session after session, day after day, week after week, month after month, quarter after quarter, year after year, they will work towards improving your results. Okay. There are none of the really, really fantastic traders that I have worked with, okay, over the years. All of them kept great records, and they also had little checklists and routines. Okay, these are the things, as I said, it's those soft skills that new traders sometimes don't always understand or recognize their value. It's those things that underpin really good, sustained long-term trading performance. So I'm going to share with a very simple one with you in a slide or two. But how do we start to create a checklist for your trading? How what's the best way to be doing it? Well, it doesn't have to be perfect. That's the first thing. Sometimes I find people are resistant to it because they think that it has to be perfect, that it has to be, absolutely cutting correct, right from the word go. That's not the case. These checklists, they will review and they will improve as does your trading experience. But as a general rule, what I say is, single page, A5, okay, so that you can effectively, I know people who have them on their knee. They have like pilots have knee boards, and I know traders who have, their checklist on their knee board. Or if it's just something small that you can do, you can laminate it, all right? So it becomes your mouse pad even, all right? Or your coffee pad, all right? So it's there constantly, okay? It's there constantly. It is to be like a checklist style, okay? And you can actually go into lots of different styles of checklists, but even if it's just simple that you have to tick off every time you're taking the trade, that in itself gives you a little bit of purpose, a bit of direction, a bit of structure. And very often what I find is sometimes traders, they'll follow that because they just get to tick their checklist. That gives them a feeling of success, which is an interesting thing to look into, which we will. It should also be easy to interpret. And I put there that, a 10-year-old kid could trade it, and that might sound a bit flippant, but it's not. It should be a case of that. It should be so simple that you could give it to a non-trader. Maybe you've got, maybe you've got kids, maybe you've got nephews, nieces and stuff. You should be able to give it to them, and actually they should be able to follow it. All right. They should actually be able to follow it. If they can, that's a sign that it's a well-formed checklist. Okay. So, I might have a couple of my godchildren, all right, okay, who've been through my checklists on how to trade. All right, sort of 10, 12-year-old godchildren, right, just checking my checklists to make sure if they can understand it, well, then, it works. Okay, so, that can be that can be the sanity check, ladies and gentlemen. It should also define your risk management principles, all right, risk management and trade management principles. Where do you get in on your trade? Okay, don't be ambiguous, all right, position is cool. Where do you get out when you're wrong? Okay, where do you get out for loss? And where are you getting out, all right, when the trade works in your way, whether you're using a target or, how you're trailing your stop loss, okay? Should all be there. Those risk and trade management principles should be there as like a little simple checklist, because what happens is, if you're in a, let's say an intraday trade and it all starts getting a little bit frenetic, you might, in your mind, you might have had a little mental, routine you want to follow, but when markets just go, mad, all right, then people ignore, they forget things because there's all sorts of things going on. Having that little A5 little checklist next to you, just making sure, just ticking it off that you've done all of those things, okay? That is what actually leads towards really good, solid trading. So, here's a very simple one here. What I say depends upon how you define simple, doesn't it? But, here's one that, I built for myself that I used to utilize, all right, okay, and that is just simply for trading pin bars, all right, just for simply trading pin bars, okay? And if you're not sure what a pin bar is, go to the Admirals YouTube channel, you'll find it in there, in this section, the recording of, I did it a few weeks back, that was in there, okay? And here's a challenge for you. Take a screenshot of that. You might be able to see it's up there. You might be able to take a snip of it, all right? And, building a pin bar checklist for your favorite trading setup is easy. And what you'll do is you'll trial and refine it as you take your trades, all right? And what will happen is the more you do it, the more you will identify your strengths as a trader, which is what you want to be doing, because you want to be building on your strengths. It will also help you uncover your weaknesses, all right? None of us are great at everything, all right? Even the best traders have their weaknesses, and the quicker you are able to uncover those, the quicker you'll be able to put tactics in place to mitigate your own weaknesses. Some of those weaknesses you will recognize, some of those you will repeat, but some of them, you will recognize and you'll be able to cut out. And as I said, checklists help you do that. And sometimes for some people, that is what helps move the needle, all right, on their trading account. Okay, it's what moves their equity curve from negative to profitable, is basically just having a checklist that makes sure they stop taking crappy, stupid, impulsive trades. You're a human. We all do it. Okay, now and then we've all taken trades that thought that wasn't the best trade for me. Why did I do that? And the better we are able to cut them out, all of that helps just nudge the needle in your direction. Okay, it might be just a small thing. It's not like a massive overnight thing, but over days, weeks, months, years, that thing that just nudges the needle on your equity curve in your direction, that is all the thing that will particularly help you. So it'll also help you discover areas for development, because you'll see there are gaps, okay, in your knowledge, gaps in your experience, gaps in your skills. They can make the start of your next quarter's trading goals, areas for development. And what it also does, and that's the important thing, is train yourself until the process becomes automatic. All right, until you do it enough that almost you can do it, do it blindfolded. All right, it's those of you who've ever done military service, all right, you will realize that they will teach you how to take care of and clean your rifle, okay, your weapon, and you will do it again and again and again until that process becomes, the response becomes automatic. You'll do it until you can basically take apart the rifle and put it back together blindfolded, right? And once you can do that, that's a sign that actually, you've got that skill down. Skill is a drill. Remember that. And there's a little bit of like that with trading, all right? If let's say, you're going to trade, pin bar bounces, well, you can have just like a simple checklist, and it could be even simpler than this one I've got here, that just allows you just to basically do it until it almost becomes automatic, right? Until your response becomes automatic here. And let's see if the old drawing tool is up here, if it's working. It wasn't particularly working. But, really, what we've got there is I've got the details at the start, okay? What's the date? Okay, what's the time? Because that actually be useful for me. What's the instrument, and what's my trade number? Okay, so I number my trades on the days, okay, and the calendar days, okay, but also the what number it is, okay, so I can start to look at in terms of samples of trades, okay, breaking down. I'm also looking for, what's the market environment, okay? Is the market trending up? Is the market trending down? STAM is my own kind of way of interpreting FX markets. Is it sine waves, all right, okay? Remember what I talk about, price action, all right? Candlesticks in themselves generally are reversal patterns, so trading them in a tight area consolidation, not necessarily terribly useful, all right, okay? You need to have something to revert, hence why even here I've got, just quickly, if the market's sideways, if it's range, and if it's choppy, well then, this is because I can basically, tick these off, because if it is, if it's choppy, then I basically want to ignore that. And then there's just the pin bar itself, okay? It does the wick length, does it have good wick length there, okay, that you can see? Is it significant, okay? And what I mean by significant is it much bigger than the actual range, or is it really stand out a great deal? Is it the same direction as the trend? I tend to like to trade them as parts of pullbacks. And is the body inside the previous bar's range? All of these things, I can tick off, okay, that just make sure that I'm picking the best possible setups. And then the kind of within the context, all right, okay, is it off the moving averages? Is it bouncing off support resistance, or a trend line, or a large round number? Which one is it? Okay, remember what I've always talked about is that I want to utilize a confluence of events. I want 2 to 3 to 4 things all coming together at one time and place. That gives me a trade setup, all right? And then I'm just filling in the details, all right? What was my price, okay? What was my entry, and how did I enter there? Okay, what was my particular entry? Where was my stop loss? And what was my exit? Okay, what was I particularly looking to do there? Okay, in terms of the exit. So that is a very simple one. That's a simple checklist for a pin bar that actually I can basically, you can stick that next to you, and as you're a new trader, just tick it off. Just keep a list of them, make a record of them, just write them down very quickly, okay? At the end of the trade, it also gives you the data to be able to start to sort of build your records and do your review, which is what we're going to touch on next week, okay? So what I will say is that, lots of punters don't like doing this work because, they think it's boring, or they think it's like too much like hard work, okay? Whereas professionals, all right, the guys and girls who are trading, trading for a living, this is what they see as an investment in them being the best trader they possibly can be and maintaining their standards as being the best possible trader that they can be. Hence why they find this so incredibly important, all right? And as I said, it is something that will help you improve in your trading. I guarantee you of that. So before we switch across to the live charts, okay, some conclusions. Checklists, okay, they came from increasing complexity in military aviation. There's more mistakes being made, more accidents, and they found that checklists help them to finish that off. They are used by many industries, all right, okay. Checklists you'll find not only just in aviation, but you'll find in lots of them. So in things like in medicine, in surgery, okay, others, they will use it in lots of performance industries. I bet you'll even see the kind of Formula One teams, they themselves are working on that as well, developing. They'll be using checklists, okay, because it just makes sure that you don't miss anything and everything's doing the right stuff. Traders can learn from them and use them to bring consistency to their performance, okay? Being consistent, right, is all about, being disciplined. It helps you. And checklists allow you to ensure that you do not miss anything and to practice your actions until it becomes an automatic response. Remember what I said at the start, ladies and gentlemen, skill is a drill. Skill is a drill, all right? It's something you need to work at. So before we switch across the charts, just don't forget that next Wednesday will be our last session here of the year for ourselves, okay, and the ultimate price action guide. And what we're going to talk about is reviewing your trading so that you can improve your performance. So we'll talk about why is reviewing your trading so important, what's the best way to do it, how can we use this upcoming festive break to help us. So be sure to sign up for it. Wednesday 21st of December, 2 o'clock London time. Check your inbox for the webinar link, or head over to the Admirals website, and you'll be able to sort of sign up for it there. There'll be stuff there, and I'll be giving you a little bit of homework to take away for over that kind of festive break so that you can utilize and work on it so that 2023 is your best possible trading year. And as always, if you want to contact us, you can do. All right, as I said, if you've got thoughts or comments or feedback, or you want us to look at specific subjects, okay, specific topics you'd like me to explain in this series, then by all means, drop us an email at global@admiralmarkets.com. Okay, you can do that, and we'll very happily and gladly take all of the thing. David's asking, is the pin bar trading one on YouTube? Yes, it is. Okay, if you go to the Admirals channel on YouTube and under Paul's Ultimate Price Action Guide, you will see, okay, there is a piece on trading pin bars there, okay, explaining that. As I said, there's all those hard skills. So there's video on trading pin bars, trading engulfing candles, trading key reversal candles, trading star formations. Okay, so there's plenty there to educate yourself on, right? Plenty there to keep yourself going. Okay, plenty there to help develop your skills as a trading, David. So thank you for that. Good question. So there you go. Why don't we switch across? We've got a couple of minutes. Okay, so why don't we switch across to the charts, and I'll just have a little look at. We'll have a little look at the charts, and I'll have a little look at kind of pin bar trading. Okay, a little bit that's been done over the last month or two. So if you just bear with us a moment, what we'll do is we'll just switch across to the chart. So as I said, just bear with me a moment, everybody. Right. Gosh, let's bring this up here. Okay. Super. So here we still are. I hope that you can still hear me. Hope you can see me. Hope that you can see the Admirals MetaTrader platform here. I thought I'd bring this up. We can have a little chat about it for a few minutes. Okay, is that this is, and once again, bring up the old tool there. This is a profile I have for the Canadian dollar. Maybe you can see that at the bottom there. Okay, excuse my drawing. So I have profiles for all of the the major FX currencies that I look to trade, and I have this set up. Okay, and they're all pretty much set up the same. Each one, we've got the charts here, and so for this particular one, I've got dollar against the US dollar against the Canadian dollar here, the euro against Canadian dollar, the Australian dollar against Canadian dollar, pound against Canadian dollar, the Canadian dollar against the Japanese yen, Canadian dollar against Swiss franc, the New Zealand dollar against Canadian dollar, and then here I've got charts for oil and gold, okay, which are two of the big exports out of Canada. Canada's, it's the commodity currency, okay. So the reason I have that there is that I can very quickly, at a quick glance, take a look, all right, at that particular currency and build a picture very, very quickly for myself over what is going on with that currency. Let me just get these all on the same. Let's get these all on the same chart. Okay, so bosh. So hopefully what you can see there is that, over the last month or two, what we have seen is we've seen a weakness in the Canadian dollar. Those of you who know how I'll trade, I'm always looking within FX markets to buy strength and sell weakness, okay? I want to buy the strongest currencies against the weakest currencies. And for the last month or so, weakest currency has been Canadian dollar, right? And as the oil price has dropped, so let's just bring this up very quickly. Bosh, as the oil price has dropped this year, okay, that's a daily chart of West Texas. As that oil prices has dropped, that invariably has had an impact on the Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar is very closely linked to oil and gold and export of commodities. And so very quickly, and I have all of these on the daily chart, okay, all the currencies in the daily chart. Hopefully you can see that, as the Canadian dollar has weakened, and other currencies have strengthened, that has presented fantastic trading trends, okay? And, that's what I say, as a new trader, that's what you want to be doing, is trading new trends and stuff. And so, what we've seen here, if we just pull this up, there's the euro against the Canadian dollar. That has been a very clear uptrend, hasn't it? And, there's a nice pullback there into a pullback, into a pin bar off the 50-period moving average before that has accelerated up there. And that has just been showing us there's been an element of euro strength, but definitely Canadian dollar weakness, even against the Japanese yen. Okay, the Japanese yen, which has been, for the most part, you can see very, very weak this year. Even the Canadian dollar has weakened against the Japanese yen. All right, and as an aside from this, what people realize is that it's not a stronger correlation as it used to, but it is still a very valid correlation. Is that lots of people would use the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen as a proxy for oil. Why is that? It's because Canada exports the majority of its oil, and the Japanese have to import the vast majority of their oil. I think it might be something like 98% of all oil. Okay, it might not necessarily be that big a number, but it is a hugely significant number. So when the oil price is going up, as it was at the start of this year, based upon the Ukraine war, okay, then invariably that was, that's hard for the Japanese economy and therefore the Japanese yen. On the flip side, when oil has been dropping, that is good for the Japanese yen and it's bad for the Canadian dollar. And that is what we've seen. You can see that has been a fabulous downtrend there. Okay, absolutely fabulous downtrend. And even pound against even pound sterling, which has had a challenging time in September. You can see over these last few months that has put in a fabulous trend there, okay, on the daily chart against the Canadian dollar. So all of that is what I'm looking to do, trading strength v weakness, okay? And I have my own ways of, working and understanding and, developing a picture, to identify strength, trend, and momentum. But one of the ones that has been is here. This is the New Zealand dollar against Canadian dollar. So by my own matrix, the New Zealand dollar has been very, very strong. The Canadian dollar has been very, very weak. Okay, they've both been going the opposite directions in the matrix. The Canadian dollar strengthening, Kiwi dollar strengthening, Canadian dollar weakening. And that's what you see. Okay, that is a trend, all right. And when you have a clear trend like that, why would you want to fight it? You shouldn't be. And increasingly, for traders, who have the ability, well, then, the 4-hour chart has provided a lot of great opportunity over the last couple of months, where hopefully you can see that has been in a very, very clear uptrend. Okay, price is above the 20-period moving average, which is above the 50. The 50 is also above the 200. The 50 is in a very nice, it's in a Goldilocks moment. Okay, namely when the kind of 50-period moving average is going up there at around about a 45-degree angle, it is, as I said, it's a kind of almost like a Goldilocks moment. Okay, it's not, the trend is not too hot, it's not too cold, it's just perfect. All right, and what we can see is that every time that price that has pulled back, let's get the old drawing tool in, is that every pullback, most of those pullbacks have ended with pin bars, okay, rejection candles. You can see probably from the arrows as well. That is the opportunity as a price action trader for us to basically, to trade those pullbacks. You can see there, okay, over the last 5-6 weeks, that's what's been happening there, okay. So, and this is what we're going to develop more into Q1 of next year, is actually starting to put our own routines in place, put our own basically trading checklists, and be able to sort of identify how to trade these areas. Okay, trade actually how to drop the hammer on when we get a very clear, very clear trend like that one there, that we can actually look to sort of maximize our trading with from just using price action trading. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Time flies when you're having fun. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of our session here, all right? I hope that you have found that useful. I hope that's gained you some insight into how you can use checklists in your trading, but also how, even a simple pin bar checklist, you can utilize that in the right market context to do well for yourself. As always, there'll be a little feedback form that will come through after this session. I'd really appreciate if you just take a few seconds just to fill that in, just give us an idea. As I said, if you've got thoughts about particular things that you'd like to see me cover, very happy to take that feedback. But we're here to make these sessions as valuable as always. And all it remains for me to say is that thank you for joining us. I wish you the very best of success in your own trading endeavors, ladies and gentlemen, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Trade well, everybody. Cheers.